Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show with Coach Frenchy and the Boot, and of course, our co-host directly from the West Coast, California, Michael Devellano.
How's it going, Pierre?
Friday.
Thanks for jumping on a little early. My day's crazy ahead.
It's all good. I think it's going to be good and going to be quick. And today is day of the Minnesota Wild. We are on the marathon of 31 days, 31 front team, and it's a special thing where we did not understand a couple of moves from the new manager, GM, Bill Guerin. We still waiting again to someone to explain to me Eric Stahl trade, but maybe someone somehow know about that one.
There's
But
a few
overall,
things that are weird, right? Like,
overall, I think it's going to be interesting to talk about this. I can wait your insight about that team, and there are a couple of change and insight in and out, so it'll be good. Like we do every single time we open up here, we go around the league, we go a couple of breaking news, and we do also recent news around the NHL. Before we jump, I just wanted to mention to you a couple of minutes. I didn't hear anything yet, but I think Brendan Lemieux and the Rangers are going to be at the A-ring salary arbitration. Honestly, the next couple hours, they are scheduled for today. I think it was 10 a.m., but I could be wrong about that one over there. So it'll be interesting what happening with Lemieux. If you remember, Lemieux asked for $2 million, and barely Rangers want to give him $1 million. So
it'll be fine.
I think we mentioned yesterday. You said 1.2, 1.4 be something around about that. I believe it's the right things to do. But talking about signature around the league and talking about what's going on, honestly, when we left yesterday, I don't know if Marco Dano was mentioned to us or not, but Winnipeg Jets signed a 1-year contract, $700,000 at the undefined or a player where you have to tell me more about him because I did not understand why he never became the one he was expected. Marco Dano is the second time with the Jets now.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's a 2-way contract, honestly. He's playing right now in the Slovakia League, and but at the end of the day, give us a little bit more about Dano. I think he's a first-round pick. I think it was 27 overall. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's a weird case because he's a small, skilled winger, and he looks like he should be able to produce offensively. And I just don't know if he's good enough to knock someone off of top 6. And he can't play top, 9. Like he can't play bottom 9, but bottom 6. So he's not. I don't know. He's not a bad player. Like you would think a team like Ottawa would grab a guy like this and give him a chance, but going to Winnipeg, I just don't see a role for him.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. He's from Australia or Trish?
Austria.
So he's a first-round pick. I was right. 27 overall in 2013 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. He only played over there 1 year.
Yeah.
With the Blue Jacket, he's 21 point, 35 game. You expect good will with it. Then he went to Chicago for right away, and then he did not finish the year with it. He went right away with a Winnipeg, and 33 game he has 10 point. He played only 12 minutes per game, and then he stayed over there for 2 years. Only played 38, 23 game back to back. Over 61 game, he has only 14 point. Play about 10 minutes per game. Then he went to Colorado for only like 8 game in 18, 19.
Columbus or Colorado?
Colorado after that.
Really? I don't remember.
And after that, he returned with Columbus for 3 game in 19, 20.
Oh, wow.
He played only 7 minutes, and then now he's back now in Winnipeg, maybe make it. But I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I never see why he didn't make it or what is missing because the guy has some skill.
He does, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just think he's a liability defensively. He's not like a strong guy. I don't know. They list him at 212 pounds. He does not seem that big, but he must be like.
Do you feel like he's a little bit like Charles Hudon? Hudon?
I think he's kind of like that, like where he's not fast enough or strong enough. He doesn't play away from the puck well enough. I think Udon plays well away from the puck, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he's never performed the way.
Fast, though. He's not like I don't know. It's a weird case. Like I felt like the coaches don't love him, but he's capable. I think they had him earmarked a couple of times as being a guy that could produce. So, it's crazy. He's listed as 5'11", 212 pounds.
Yep.
That's like a tank.
No, I don't feel
he's like eating schnitzels or something.
Yeah. So what's happened with him? We wish the best for him, honestly. The big news yesterday was honestly the contract with a Columbus Blue Jacket defenseman at 24 years old. I like him a lot. I'll be honest with you. He was very impressive as a second pairing defenseman with a Columbus with Savar. It's Vladislav Gavrinikov.
Yeah, Gavrikov. We talked about him in the playoffs, and I thought he's like, wow, he's big. He's pretty mobile. Like, he's pretty good. I like him.
Yep, signed a contract 3 years at $8.4 million. You know what I mean? It's a $2.8 million per season. Really good, great. He's a little bit built like Zantarov, but better talent-wise. Does it make sense? Like more talent, physicality is really great.
Yeah.
Big guy, 6'3", 215 pounds.
He's not as inconsistent. He's a little smaller, but he's still big, right? Like he's a big guy. Like, yeah, he's a good defenseman. He's not going to get you points. Like, he had 18 points. That's not bad.
It was his first year last season with Columbus after many years in KHL. He played 69 games. He has 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points, and 10 games. He has 1 goal, 2 assists in playoff. And he played 19 minutes. So you can see his utilization is pretty good. He's, he bring a lot on the. He's a top 4 player for them. So he support a little bit what Asa Lindell or Oleksiak does for Dallas, like their support defenseman, like, and Dallas, it's Clenburn and again, and then here you can see Wareski and Seth Jones. So I really like this player.
Yeah, I like the signing too. He's good. He's a good player. I don't think people know who he is, but when you watch him, you're like, wow, he's good.
Yep, I absolutely agree with you,
Hard to play against.
So the good signature for Columbus, a 3 years contract at under $3 million. I think it's a very well for them, and see what happening. The next thing for them, but finish the signature yesterday. Of course, is an entry level deal from the Anaheim Ducks, Jacob Perreault. I think he was at the end of the first round pick. Perreault is solid players. I think he play very well. I think he can bring. Be interesting what he can do for the Anaheim. Honestly, I think the first round pick they pick is it Tristel the first round, the first pick, and then this draft Anaheim. Is it who was the defenseman? Is it Drysdale?
Oh, Drysdale. Yeah.
He was the first pick, right?
Yep, Jamie Drysdale, yeah.
So they got also Perreault, so I think it's a good deal.
A good draft. Like, I think they did quite well in the draft.
Exactly. I agree with you, Bart. So that's pretty much what happening on the signature.
Did you see Uyghur signed?
I'm sorry again?
Mackenzie Uyghur?
I did not. Why now? Here we go. We have a 2 new update happening in the next couple of minutes ago. Pretty interesting to see happening there. Mackenzie Uyghur from the Florida Panthers just signed a new contract, 3 years, almost $10 million. Honestly, $9.75 million at $3.25 million. 26 years old. Good contract, both of them. Good for Florida. Not over $4 million. That's pretty good. Still not became the top player defenseman. He have a potentially to become a top 3 defenseman for any team, but still not there. It's still he never produced. He's a late bomber player, right? He did not became a good defenseman at 20, 21, 23. So
and you saw Brendan Lemieux signed, eh?
I'm sorry again?
Brendan Lemieux signed.
Yeah, so I just want to finish with him. With McKenzie. McKenzie play honestly a regular and NHL for last 3 years. He played 60, 64, 45 game last season, 45 game last season, 7 goal, 11 assists, 18 point. Play at that moment, 20 minutes per game. So you can see his role inside that team is really maybe over Yandel now because he's a left defenseman. Play for Florida. So he's maybe become the partner more with Aaron Eggblad over there. So great signature for them, and they have a lot of talk and trade bait. Maybe he's going to be with Toronto and everything like that. And I think it was nothing there, just like
playing games, trying to get
yeah. So he's by signing his contract, like he's awaiting his salary arbitration rating. So he was for next week. So good signature for him. Good signature for the Panthers. So meanwhile, we just hear now. It's all breaking news. It's great stuff here. Brendan Lemieux at $3.1 million 2 year, 1.55 with the Rangers. Lemieux came from the from Arizona. He came.
Man, he's bounced around a little bit, hasn't he?
Winnipeg.
He was drafted by Winnipeg. Did he go anywhere between then?
No, not at all. I'm surprised. Me too. I thought he was one somewhere else before.
Yeah, I thought he was somewhere else in the between, but maybe
so
not.
So he had a good season. Honestly, that season has 59 games, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18, played 12, 13 minutes per game. He knows his role. He knows his utility. But I'll be honest with you, he can score.
He can score, and he's just for today's NHL. They don't like guys that sit in the box. He's a little undisciplined. And he's not great defensively. He's okay. But he was drafted by Buffalo. So he was traded with Joel Armia, Tyler Myers, a first pick, Andrew Stafford to Winnipeg. And Winnipeg sent them Evander Kane and Bogosian and then another player.
They never played with Buffalo.
Never played with Buffalo.
Yep.
And then traded with that first pick that let's see. I'm confused by this trade. Oh, he was traded for Kevin Hayes.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, at trade deadline.
That's what it was. So they end up with, that's weird. So traded from Winnipeg with Vinny Hanola, but Hanola is still in, I don't get that. Doesn't make sense because Vinny, isn't it Billy Helena still in Winnipeg? That doesn't make sense.
Anyway, short story. Lemieux get a little bit more money what I expect, honestly, 1.55. But at that COVID situation, everything like that, I think it's pretty good. He's still 24 years old. I think he did not reach his full potential. I think he can step up a little bit more. He can do more for the offensive. Play great on the 4 line is really another way, like maybe the 4 line, like Matt Martin or Claude Bach or something like that. And then he can jump sometime on the 3rd line where he can do there. But it just gave to the Rangers physicality, grandeur, and depth on their chart.
Sure.
Like we mentioned yesterday, Lafreniere maybe on the 3rd line over there. So that give you an idea of what they are. So good signature. It's a great update. We came here on the online for live.
Stuff happened.
Yeah, it happened right away. I just mentioned to you, let me uploading, and then boom, it's happening there. So it's good for them. Before we jump on Minnesota, I have maybe label around the league. Honestly, the only thing is happening is the Buffalo Sabres have signed a goaltender, Dawson Dokowski, to a 2-year deal. Tokarski was with the Montreal Canadiens a couple of years ago, played maybe 10 games in NHL. That's pretty much what he did. He go around, bounce everywhere.
Yeah, he's just. I really liked him. Like I thought he was going to be. He shows sometimes he can be a very, very good goalie. He was from the WHL. He's not big.
No, I agree.
He struggled a little bit because people figured out that they could score up top on him, but he's a good goalie. He could play a little bit in the NHL even.
I think he could be a good backup goalie. I think so. But
he could be a good backup.
it's really impressive. Like it really surprised me. He played only the last time he played in NHL 16,
Here.
17, but
Yeah.
the big game, the big year was Montreal and and 14, 15. The funny thing, he came from Tampa Bay Lightnings.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been having injury problems because if you look, he hasn't even played a full season in the AHL.
Yeah, he's already at 32 years old.
I know.
So it's a
AHL signing.
safety cap for them and everything like that. So nothing major around that part of there. Honestly, this is the last news. The rest is all about a contract happening yesterday. We mentioned. So I think if you have anything, if you want to mention to us right now, we can honestly jump on the
Minnesota.
Wild and then talking about them and see what happening and go from there.
Sounds good to me. All right, so this is just a weird tale to me. So that they had a GM, Paul Fenton, came over from Nashville, fairly highly touted for a long time as being the next guy that would get the next job, and then finally gets a job as GM in Minnesota. Was a real not great guy in the office apparently, and not great with the media. So Paul Fenton made some moves that were widely criticized, but I think the biggest thing was his personality. So he was removed and Bill Guerin takes over. But you got to start questioning if Fenton was right all along. He was really criticized, for example, for the Granlund trade. He brought in Eric Stahl, who turned out really well. I believe he brought him in. Did he, or was that the prior GM? Maybe that was Chuck Fletcher that signed him. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. But, Kevin Fiala, suddenly, who was a bit of an attitude case in Nashville, blossoms in Minnesota as their top player, and Granlund can't even get in the top, six. And it's kind of weird. Oh, I got a major echo here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can.
I'm getting echo. There we go. All right, I'll try again. They still have the long-term signings of Parise and Suter. They signed a long time ago to come home and pair up together in what was originally a controversial move. Those contracts aren't horrible, but they're not great. Both players are older and they still produce at a reasonable level, but you got to think that you are a little worried about what's going. Oh, good spell check there, guys. All right, so let's try this again. So we talked about Eric Stahl, who was came over from Carolina. It was a little bit controversial, and then he produced big numbers. Like he revived his career in Minnesota, and even last year had a very good year. And they move him out. And you got to give credit to Kevin Adams and Buffalo for making this swap because the money was pretty close to even. Like they actually take on more contract with Johansson. Marcus Johansson couldn't even get in the top 6 in Buffalo, who didn't, make the playoffs. So now Stahl goes in and takes over the number 2 center role in Buffalo for sure and reunites with Skinner. So you got to kind of scratch your head a little bit because there was only 1 year left on the deal. Maybe they were thinking keeping a player under contract, but, they are a team that's looking like they have to shed contract. Then they make the move where they move out a young guy, Luke Kunin, who has almost very similar, if not identical, production to an old guy named Nick Bonino. So it's just a very strange move because Kunin was an up-and-coming player for them, and he can play center or wing. Mainly he's a right winger. So it's a little bit odd move. Cam Talbot comes in. They buy out Dubnyk. He goes and signs in San Jose, and Dubnyk was struggling, but he was a star here for a while. He really emerged as an all-star. I think he was an all-star 3 times or 2 times. So now you're like scratching your head because Cam Talbot comes in, who's probably a similar or worse goalie for $3.2 million, and you're retaining Dubnyk's salary. So you're basically paying the same that you're paying Dubnyk for Cam Talbot. So it's and Cam struggled, I thought, in Calgary. Now they did have a good draft. Marco Rossi, who was highly touted, rated as high as 4th or 5th by some scouts, falls to Minnesota. So they get a guy that is very confident, Austrian player, played in the OHL. I'm a little cautious on his numbers, but he's a guy that's, unafraid, has a little bit of edge to him. And he says, hey, I'm going to make this team right away. So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the team right away. Because I don't think with Marco Rossi, you're waiting for him to physically mature. He is what he is. He's 5'9". He's a little stout guy. And he goes to nasty areas on the ice. He's not afraid. And he's a good playmaker and he can score a little bit. So he probably does make this team. We finally get to see now they sign their highly prized late round pick Kaprizov that was drafted a long time ago and has been absolutely ripping it up in the KHL. And then we see they acquired Nick Bjugstad from Pittsburgh. So where's this team going? It's a little bit confusing. There's a lot of question marks. They do appear to have some depth. If you pencil in Kaprizov on the top line, but then you look down center is where they have issues. Like Marcus Johansson couldn't even get the third line center role in Buffalo. Like he was switching to the wing a lot. So now he's your number one centerman, and then Stahl, who leaves, legitimately is the second line center on a very good Buffalo team. They still have the Zuccarello contract, another older guy in a long-term contract they'll have to figure out. Parise, same thing. Eriksson Ek has never turned into the player that we thought he would become, so now he has that chance to do that. There's no one in his way. Kevin Fiala definitely emerged as their top player last year, but that's a little concerning. Nick Bonino, again, we talked about this. Like, he's a very consistent offensive performer, very good center, but he's not young. And Bjugstad's had a lot of well-documented injury problems. If they're penciling him on the wing, I wouldn't be surprised if he moves to center. He's a pretty good centerman when he's healthy, but so you could see where they go Johansson, Bonino, and Bjugstad if Eriksson Ek doesn't pan out. Jordan Greenaway is a good prospect. I'm not sure his offensive upside, but he did sign, I think, a $2 million contract. Marcus Foligno is what he is. Not an amazing skater, but he's tough. He goes to scoring areas and chips in a little offensively. Victor Rask looks like an absolutely horrible acquisition from Carolina. This was probably one of the deals, though, that legitimately Paul Fenton got criticized for moving out Nino Niederreiter. But I think we see with Niederreiter is just very inconsistent and maybe has a little bit of hard time fitting in on a team. Ryan Hartman was another guy that you thought would become a pretty damn good player and really hasn't panned out. So there's a lot of question marks on there. On D, they are very strange. Like, they have some good D with Suter, Spurgeon, Brodin, and Dumba, and all of them are overpaid. As we'll see. Carson Soucy, overpaid. Like, what am I missing here? Brad Hunt has always been a bubble defenseman. He can produce offensively, really kind of questionable defensively. They really struggled in goal last year, and Cam Talbot is not the answer, in my opinion. I'm actually surprised at this move, but it is what it is. So they are, to me, they still got a lot of problems. They got to figure out a lot of stuff in the money situation. Like, they got to figure out, like, they've still got 4 years left on that Zuccarello contract, which looked ridiculous last year and still looks ridiculous. Johansson's 4.5, but he's obviously going to drop off as a UFA. Bonino drops off as a UFA. So, it's almost like they move. It's just weird who they gave up to get Bonino, to me. They cited that they needed help at center and that Kunin was a right winger. I get that. But you got a guy that's only on a 1-year contract and then falls off, and he's older, and you're not going to re-sign him. Victor Rask has got 2 years at $4 million. Like, that's a terrible contract. Doesn't even look like he can play in the NHL anymore. I don't even know if it's opportunity. He just looks like he's done. He was a decent player. Like, he was highly touted too, but I think injuries have just added up for him. Kevin Fiala, they got to re-sign because he's their best player right now. So you can see where there's going to be a bunch of stuff that will clear out in a year, and then they got to deal with some of these longer-term contracts. Bjugstad's in that same boat. He's UFA in a year. Greenaway's got restricted still. He's a young guy. 2.1 for 2 years seems a little bit much for me. Like, I'm not sure that he flexes up beyond the third line. I guess we'll find out. He's a big guy. He's got a little bit of ability to play both wings, and he can chip in offensively. Joel Eriksson Ek, this is a really a prove me year for him, and same thing for Ryan Hartman, who's on a ridiculous contract. They signed Nico Sturm to a 2-year $725. I'm not sure. Like, do they project him staying and producing in the NHL? Might be okay if he plays bottom six, which he probably will. Now you get to the real horror show in Minnesota. It's like you have a 5'9" Jared Spurgeon. He's a good defenseman. I mean, he's 30 and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 years left on that contract at 7.575. Like, what are they doing? Ryan Suter is 35 and he still has what, 5 years left on this contract. Matt Dumba's the guy they're talking about moving out, which I don't get because I like Matt Dumba. He's had some injury problems, but he's only 26. At $6 million, he's probably paid a little bit too much, but not compared to the other two guys. Like, he's a right shot defenseman that can contribute offensively when he's healthy. Jonas Brodin he's 27, goes from 4.16 to 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. Like, what is going on? Did he get 6 times 6? I think he might have, right? And then we talk about Carson Soucy, like 26 years old. He's a bottom, pairing defenseman. He gets 3 years at 2.75. It just doesn't add up. They still have Pateryn at 2.25. Brad Hunt might be the deal at $700,000.
I don't know. I feel like Santa Claus works for the Wild, honestly.
Look at the goalie situation. They're paying Cam Talbot 3.6. I didn't realize they're retaining 2.16 on Dubnyk. So now they're paying more for the same goalie.
It's honestly
Dubnyk will probably be better than Talbot.
Here, what I'm seeing right now here. First of all, if I go back a little bit higher, they still have about $2.8 million on the salary cap. Projected, right? The current cap is 3.5, but projected is going to be 2.8. They have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pick next year.
Okay, so that's good.
The thing. Here's one for everything you mentioned to us right now. I believe they have a first good line, right? But they don't have a second center. They have 3. I would say at least 2 great third center.
Yeah, probably.
I really believe Bonino is a great center.
He's good.
Right? Marcus Johansson, he's always been more like the winger.
Yeah, he's a better left winger because he's not consistent enough at center.
Yeah, but and then you have Nick Bustad, right? But Bonino and Johansson, they have an average of 35 points per game, per season at 40 max. Now, Nick Bustad he's been before the 45, 50.
Yeah, he's capable if he's healthy, right?
So my point, what I want to you is this part. If Bustad can play at the level he can play as a second center, and then now you have Nick Bonino at the third center, where he should be at the right spot over there. I think it's going to be not too bad.
Yeah, they'll be competitive-ish.
The only thing I'm talking to you right now is if. And when you have if, it's not going to work. It's assuming. And I believe they missed. Bill Guerin make a big mistake. It's not Shiker, it's second center over there. That's the only thing I would say to you. Then after that, I don't know who signed those guys, but Spurgeon, you know what I mean? Tomba, and Prudent. Now the problem, it was funny because this morning the Athletic have a big long article about Minnesota, and they was mentioned about it's maybe too late now to trade Matt Tomba to get a second line where, you know what I mean? And at $6 million, I'm not sure. And they would be stuck with Spurgeon for 7 years. This is the biggest mistake about that. Now he's what, 7.5 you mentioned?
It's crazy.
Right? And the guy never been over one season. He won over 40. Now he scored about 10, 12, 14 goals per season. Now,
Michael, are you a startup?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you have an idea that you can go?
Oh, sorry, something's playing there.
So he's almost $8 million. So he's about, I'll be honest with you, he's about at least $1.5 million too much.
Oh, easy. It's like such a long-term deal. Like, no one's going to take that contract on unless you eat salary.
Again, they give a lot of money.
It's crazy. It's just really structured. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what's going on here is kind of scary. Like, this is a mess.
They have to trade one of the defensemen at some point with the money they have.
Yeah.
I give you an example right there. Right, we talked about Bonin. Is it Bonin?
Who's that?
The defenseman. Is it Jonah Bonin? What's the last name?
Brodin.
All right, check about this. How much he got?
I thought he got 6 times 6.
So he got
6 million times 6 years, or was it 5 years?
Yeah. So this year is 4 million, but the rest has 6 million. All right.
Yeah.
And right now, though, open your ear because you're going to fall your chair. Right? Send 12, 13, he play in NHL. 11, 19, 17, 7, 25, 21, 18, 28 points per season.
It's crazy.
He got
a defenseman, but I mean, come on,
that's terrible.
It's terrible.
Terrible. That's what sometimes you imagine why people lose their job. I can do a better job right now. I should apply.
Sure, yeah. I don't know.
It's crazy. And then you mentioned Carson Soucy.
That makes my head explode.
$2.7 million. He played 55 games in NHL. He had 14 points.
I don't understand it.
You know what I mean? It's like, and
you're making bets on, like, it's just crazy. Like, how do you move anyone out of that? The only guy you could move would be Dumba, and they're going to still make you eat salary. Like, any of those contracts, you're going to have to give up picks, which is the opposite of what they want to do. Like, Patarin's a very good defenseman. Like, at 2.2, you just sit on him. Soucy, like, who cares? Maybe we're underestimating Soucy, but I mean, he's 26.
Yeah, but listen. He played 55 games in NHL, get almost at $3 million.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to me. So it's really.
And you can't even move. Like, Spurgeon's got no movement. Suter's got no movement. Brodin's got no movement.
So it's crazy to see that.
So now you're forcing your hand. You've got to move Dumba. Like, that's probably the best offensive defenseman out of the four of them.
That's the
what? And he's the youngest.
Yep. And it's not going to be
a Morello contract.
Yeah, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 UFA next season. You know what I mean? Like you're going to sell Johansson, Bonino, Paulinho, Artman.
Like, they're going young on the forwards, and that D will just hold them in. So that's kind of almost their strategy. It's like, yep, our D are going to be really good, which they will be. I mean, it's not like the D's bad. The D is very good. But it's like, so now you've got to go, okay, in a year, you've got to re-sign Kevin Fiala. He's your best player. You're hoping Marco Rossi, is the player he should be. Kaprizov has no rights. He hasn't played enough to have any RFA rights. So he's going to take, whatever. You're going to probably sign him long-term anyway and hope he stays. Like, they paid him not to play this year. He's like, what? They paid him a whole season not to play. So now Kaprizov, you go, okay, look, he's going to be a star because that's what he's been projected as, but he's not a centerman. So you're going, okay, you got a little guy in Kaprizov, you got a little guy in Fiala, you got a little guy in Rossi. Yeah, they're all small, skilled players. I don't know. It's the road is not clear. I think what it's clear is this team still might finish higher than they should and not get the best pick that they should.
Okay, I'll just give you an idea how sometimes I evaluate more the organization. Me is always looking for the draft pick, right?
Yeah.
Since 2015.
They've traded everything.
Since 2015. Only Way and Joel Eriksson play in the NHL.
It's crazy.
Like, they just trade Konen They have like play 130 game,
That's
31
why I
games.
was like, why are you trading Luke Kunin? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, so they've got this guy who was like a third pick. He's not going to play. You know, Kunin, was at least he panned out. You know, he's a good player. Like, you should have just kept him.
The last 34 picks in the NHL, right? I will go more. 38. Do you know how many players play in NHL so far?
5.
One. And he's not there anymore. You just traded.
Well, aside from Eriksson Ek?
It's Luke Kunin.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, why would you? I know he's not an amazing skater, but he's a good player.
And 2014, they have Alex Stock.
Well, there's another screw up.
He's gone. And
Because
nobody play over 15 games. They have to go with Matt Tomba and 212.
Oh my God.
He said he's
And they
the
wanna dump him.
So you have to go like 12, 11, and 10,
Yeah.
and 09, and 08. And I can go with 07 and 06 and 05
Bizarre.
and 04. You know what? And 03. And then I can go 02 and 01. And geez, 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick amazing. They pick amazing there. Since 2013, only Alex Dock, right? And then you can say to me like Greenway, but Greenway is not like a superstar.
No, he's just a.
Right? They don't have anything like they have a top 6 best player or a top 2 defenseman. They have nothing since 2014. We talk about 7 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Jordan Greenaway, maybe someone like that pops up, but you almost hope that he doesn't. Like, you hope that they absolutely have a horrible year, but they're not going to. Like, they still have just enough depth to be a problem, you know? Like, maybe they'll finish too high. I mean, they're projecting what? Like, where would they finish? If they finish here again, they're in trouble. Because what they need to finish here. Like,
They don't have enough strong team right now. They
No.
my power ranking. They have the 24 in bottom.
I don't know. It's weird. I hope you're right, because if you're
He was in charge about their system development players for recruitment, but they did so much great from 2000 to 2010. They did turn around. They want maybe the best organization find those kind of players. 11, 12. It's easy when you pick 7, 10, you won't tell me, and then you get 9, then you get 16, then you got 23, 16, 9, 4, 12. They always been draft. You know, Brent Burns got draft 20 overall pick.
yeah, but how long ago was that? Like, he's old.
2003.
Yeah, it's like
They had Bouchard in 2002. They got Mikko Koivu. Just let it go. He was number 6 overall pick in 2001. And then
I think
you know what? The 2000 was not bad. They picked.
Yeah, they've always been a middle team, you know. Like, I think what they need to. It is what it is. Bill Guerin didn't make all the bad moves, but there's a lot to contend with here. There's some glimmer of hope with young.
Michael is back again. I always said, look, the draft pick.
It's
right.
I mean,
look what's going on there. You know what I mean? Like, the best pick right now is Marco Rossi.
Yeah, which is a legitimate pick, but I still worry that guy's numbers were very inflated. Now, you're getting
right. It's not guaranteed what you try to mention.
He's not a great player, and he's a tank. I don't know. I wasn't like sold on his skating. He dropped for a reason, you know, and I think he's a competitive guy, but he might end up being like a 45, 50 point player, not a 90 point player. Now, he could be Brad Marchand, which is the favorable comparison, but you don't know. You don't know even with Kaprizov. Like, Kaprizov was a late round risk that's finally going to pay off, and you only got him for 1 year. He might go back to the KHL if he doesn't like it. Like, how do you even get him to play the way you want? Because you got no leverage over that guy. In the KHL, he's a superstar. Like he's paid to be, the guy. So now you got to hope that he's happy and he's productive and he doesn't, we've seen Russian guys come over, like look at Shipachyov in Vegas. Here's the guy that's supposed to be the best guy in Russia, and Shipachyov comes over and he can't even get on a top 9.
Very interesting about that organization. I'll be honest with you. They have a lot of
work ahead of them. I don't know what they do on D. Like maybe they got to move Dumba, but I wouldn't. To me, that's the guy that you should have kept. You should have just let Brodin go, figure out what you're going to do with Suter and Parise, say, we'll trade you together to Nashville or something and eat some of the contract, but nobody's going to want to take that contract.
You look about this, the best player are old. The second, have too much money give to different player where they are not the superstar. Thirdly, I don't think so. They have a great goaltender.
No. Right? Now they have another
great center, second line. And finally, the draft pick is not great if you look at for the last 5 years. So that gives you 5 things right now. When you think about their problem, they are right there. So
they have like a top goalie prospect.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, Beribo.
No, they got the Finnish guy, Kakkonen. Kakkonen's considered they're like everyone's mad.
In EHL.
Capo. It sounds like Capo Kakkonen, but it's another one.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be very, very good. So, didn't say, there's our goalie. Let's live with it. We'll finish low because he's breaking in, or we'll be great because he's great.
Talking about the wall I mentioned to you, they just signed an agreement with the Allen American on the East Coast Hockey League as a farm club. And the reason I mentioned to you is because the East Coast Hockey League started in December.
That's weird.
So they're going to bring players right now to join the team over there and not wait for the American Hockey League. It's only in February. Meanwhile, the 7-8 player NHL now practice with the skill coach, not for the Minnesota. They cannot do it, but Ness, they practice with him right now. So they have 7-8 players doing this, honestly. And then they are taking Iowa City, Coralville. They are trying to build a ring over there. They're going maybe to become the ECHL team over there. So they're going to be and Des Moines and Iowa City, the AHL, and also the ECHL. And when you talk about Iowa, it's just the state under below to Minnesota where the player can come back and forth following them, maybe to that. Some talk about development players.
Well, so this is the goalie. I do have to jump, unfortunately. I have another meeting, but Pierre, thank you for your help today. This was awesome. Great news early on.
I will see you not tomorrow because it's Saturday, Sunday. Try to maybe Sunday. I cannot be there tomorrow, but have a great Friday, Michael. I will see you tomorrow and maybe tomorrow. If not, Sunday morning, Eastern time, 11 o'clock. Have a great one, everybody.